and we'll be moving into our main discussion topic of the week, which is the Snyder Cut has been announced. And after we've discussed this, we're going to talk a little bit about the DCEU and our overall thoughts, what films we like, what we don't like, and how we feel it's moving forward. So this Snyder Cut, it's been a thing. It's been a hashtag for years, hasn't it? Release the Snyder Cut. Even Ben Affleck tweeted it.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. Jason Momoa has been screaming it into his Instagram, release the Snyder Cut. It's a real.
It seemed.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, sorry. You go on ahead.
I was just going to say it's been a cut. Snyder has had a cut of the film. It's just that to get the film out to actually release it, he would need $20-30 million to complete the film, because there's special effects shots missing, and it's apparently 4 hours or something crazy. 4.5 hours maybe. I don't know.
Actually,
there's entire subplots missing, like a villain that's wasn't even in the final cut, Darkseid. Entire storylines that were just missing. But at least that's what I've read. So
yeah,
it seems to me that 30 million isn't enough to complete the film. Why is it not 50 million? But I guess they have to have a budget. So.
And do you know what? It's kind of. I was just going to say before. It's quite nice that the cast are getting behind Zack Snyder, because obviously, he did go through a lot. He did lose his daughter,
exactly.
Didn't he?
Yeah.
And it's quite nice that he gets to now go back and revisit and kind of show the world what he would have ideally wanted to make this film. Because I have to say, Justice League is really disappointing.
Oh, it's awful. It's one of the worst films. One of the worst. Because of what it represents, the Justice League film, it should be cool. It should be entertaining. It should be epic. And it was a financial flop. It was a financial flop. It made no sense. The villain was terrible.
CGI villain. Was it the Kieran Hines that played that silly villain?
Oh man, it's just. And when you compare it to the MCU, you have to compare it. It should have been the Avengers of the DCU, and it was just terrible. I know we're not saying here that his Snyder Cut's gonna be good. It could still be bad.
Oh yeah.
But it's nice that he gets to release something that he would have done back then.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
And it's also. I'll quickly touch on this. It's quite nice that he has a director's cut for Batman v Superman, which does drastically improve Batman v Superman, in my opinion. And then to have that trilogy, Man of Steel, Batman v Superman director's cut, and now the Snyder Cut of Justice League, to have that complete vision, even if people don't like exactly what has happened with Superman or things like that, how Superman. This is spoilers for the DCEU. Superman dies at the end of Batman v Superman. A lot of people did not like that decision. But it's nice to have the complete story that he wanted to tell now.
Yeah, and going about Superman's death, I was just thinking, there were so many decisions taken with the release of Justice League that I feel were quite. Looking back on it in hindsight now, I feel like a lot of people are probably thinking, why did we even decide to do that? The idea that, Superman had died, but then there was the hope at the end of, and the after, I don't know if it was a post-credit scene, that there was the rubble was
that was the last shot of the film.
Yeah. So you're thinking, well, it's hitting that he's alive, and then he wasn't involved in any of the marketing for a long time for any of Justice League. It was they pretended.
Yeah,
it was like they pretended, but we were all well,
we know he's coming back.
Yeah, well, we're hearing about the reshoots and that he's having to get his CGI mustache, his upper lip, we're hearing about all of that, and you're still pretending that he's not in the film. He wasn't even in the posters, he was just not in the trailers, And then I feel like whenever it was about to get released, or towards like the week of it was released, they just started adding Superman into like posters and like marketing materials, and it's just like
photoshopping him in the background.
Well, yeah, like it was just like slapping him in now, and it's like, well, we all knew he was going to come back. It sort of reminds me of like, no, I was going to say Game of Thrones, but I don't want to talk about Game of Thrones spoilers in this. But it sort of reminded me a bit of that. You know what happens in Game of Thrones when we all knew someone was going to come back. No, Justice League, really disappointing for me.
And I also, sorry, finish your sentence. I've got a thought.
What was I going to say? You go ahead. I've lost
so I was going to say that. Sorry about that, but I was going to say that comparing like how a superhero goes away then comes back. There's like 2 instances where I feel it was done so much better. Not the character didn't necessarily die, but they went away and came back. And in Spider-Man, the Sam Raimi films, he hangs up his suit for a while and then comes back, and it's done in such a good way. And then in also The Dark Knight, how he disappears for like 8 years and then he has to come back, and it's different. It's different context because the character isn't dead, but the way that it's done in Justice League, it's just like, oh, he's dead, now he's back, he's evil, we fight him, now he's good. It's just so rushed, is what I'm trying to say.
It's really rushed, and like, this was the introduction really to Aquaman and the Flash. I mean, they were brief cameos in Batman v Superman, didn't they?
Yeah.
And then like on the videotape that Bruce Wayne was looking at, but then they're like fully in this film, and like even that, like
Cyborg was a letdown.
Cyborg as well. I mean, I actually like had forgotten about Cyborg. That's how much of an impact he had made on me.
Yeah.
So, and I have only seen it once. I actually went to see it in the cinema.
Same.
And to be honest, like overall plot, like I kind of know what happens, but other than that, I don't really remember much detail.
And it makes no sense because, like, I don't know whether this was Joss Whedon or not, but some of the characters just act completely differently than they did in other films. Like Batman, for instance, just a different character.
Yeah, doesn't he get like quite like a bit cockier and a bit more like, you know,
shoky,
and he's like trying to flirt with Wonder Woman and stuff, and you're just a bit like, that's one thing though, is Gal Gadot is quite consistent. Like she is.
Oh yeah, she's good in the film. Yeah.
Yeah, you can tell that like she's carried on from her role in the Wonder Woman, which we can talk about a bit later. But no, overall, like Justice League should have been this epic that we all like had been wanting to see for a long time.
And now it might be.
It could be, and I hope it is.
Yeah.
For closure's sake.
Yeah. I hope the Snyder Cut is going to be good.
Yeah. So the original thing was, I remember hearing this, was that it was going to be split into 2 films, wasn't it? And that's probably why then that Zack Snyder's got that for our runtime, maybe for his Snyder Cut.
Well, he tweeted that he hasn't even seen the theatrical cut. That's crazy. And then he also tweeted that what we saw, or what he thinks we saw, was probably, this was his words, probably about a quarter of what he shot. So, like,
yeah,
it just makes no sense.
Yeah, it doesn't. It was all the DCEU. Like, to be fair, like it just was really messy for a while. And it just feels like that now. It feels like they're just trying to course correct, and they
have new leadership. They have new leadership. Yeah. And they've kind of steered away from the Justice League, and they're doing these other films, like separate storylines. Yeah, like Shazam and Aquaman, Wonder Woman. No. She's the one thing that they've stuck with from Justice League.
Yeah, and it's just like the tone that they were going for. Like it was all so dark and dull and dreary and like really, really sad and like.
Oh, especially like, Batman v Superman.
and the color palette, like the gray and like, and if you think in your head about like Batman v Superman here, like the color of that film, and you think about that, and then you put Wonder Woman, it's just like, it changes so much. Like Wonder Woman is like just it's brighter and it's like this change and it's like
it's even
fresh.
It's got that tone even during World War One, like which is an incredibly dark time.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. The stuff in World War One, Wonder Woman is like brighter than like scenes in Bruce's cave with Alfred, like it's all just so like negative and
I actually I don't think Batman v Superman is a good film. I think it's a bad film, but I can watch it and enjoy it with the extended cut. I can actually enjoy that film, even though I think it's bad. It's like I still like some elements of it, and I can put it on and watch it. Like I think it's quite rewatchable, even though it's bad. I don't know if that makes sense. But what is your favorite film, the DCEU?
I just want to say quickly, I haven't seen the extended cut of Batman v Superman.
Oh, you should watch it. It's worth it.
Yeah, I feel like I need to have a day of like extended cuts.
There's a lot more Superman in the extended version.
Yeah, so what?
It's good because Batman v Superman feels a bit like a Batman film. With Superman as a side character, but it actually feels more like Batman versus Superman with the extended cut. Like it's their more equal screen time.
Yeah.
It's still not equal, but it's more so like that, which is really, really good. So definitely worth a watch. What are your thoughts on Man of Steel?
Would like to rewatch again soon to get more of an understanding of it. Because my judgment of it now is from when it was released, which was 2013?
12, I think.
Was it? Around then, anyway.
Around then, yeah.
Like coming up to like 13 years or so now.
That makes sense. Yeah. I really like that film. Like more now than I did then.
Yeah. And this is just my opinion. I personally think that Amy Adams was miscast as Lois Lane.
Yeah.
I know she's a great actress and she does like what she can with it, but for me, I didn't really she wasn't really who I had in mind, and it just didn't really work for me. I just can't help it. Like it's just like how I feel about it. But I obviously really like Henry Cavill as Superman. Like I think that he just like, if you think about who Superman is and what he looks like, then it's just Henry Cavill is what you would like expect.
Yeah.
From what I remember about Man of Steel, like I liked it at the time, but it wasn't like something I would scream from the rafters about.
You might like it better now, because the stakes of, if you understand, like he's an alien that's come to Earth. He's struggling to find out who he is. Sorry. He's been told by his foster dad or his dad to not use his powers. When he he's got all these conflicting emotions, and then he faces his past. They come to exterminate him. General Zod comes to kill him. It's like really intense and quite a good story. And he has to go through all this because Superman. The classic Superman is a beacon of hope, but he's not there yet. That's what's so good about Man of Steel. He's not there yet. He's like struggling to figure out who he is, and he has all this to deal with. I think it's a really good Superman film. My favorite Superman film. Yeah.
Nice.
And obviously another thing that makes me biased towards it is the score. Hans Zimmer's score is just incredible.
Yeah. And it's the most famous one that I play quite a bit, but I can never name it off. It's like, why do we
What would you do if
Yeah,
you're
what
not
would you do?
saving the world or something like
Yeah,
that?
yeah. It's quite long. When
Yeah.
I'm always like, oh, I know it, and then I forget it. Like, uh, no, yeah, I'll definitely rewatch that again soon.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm gonna rewatch Man of Steel, Batman v Superman Extended, and then watch the Snyder Cut when it comes out, like in a row, just to see his complete vision. I'm excited to do that. Um, so yeah, I think it's going to be on HBO Max in 2021. So
Nice.
it makes sense. Other DCEU films worth mentioning. You've not seen Shazam or Aquaman, have you? Are those the two that you've not seen?
Yeah, I haven't seen
Yeah.
Shazam. But
Shazam's quite good. I mean, it is what it is. It's not anything crazy special, but it's fun in my opinion. And then Aquaman, I've only seen the first half of Aquaman, or up to about halfway through it. And I actually really liked it from what I saw. I don't know why I never finished that film, but it's really good.
sort of, it made so much as well. It was really
Oh yeah,
unexpected. It was
oh
like
yeah,
1.3, no, 1.1 or 1.2 billion. I was like,
yeah.
what?
And Aquaman's like it used to be if I don't know if you remember, but when we were growing up, like in the 90s or whatever, like Aquaman used to laugh at him, like he was the worst superhero ever. Like
Yeah,
everyone used to laugh at him.
no, like it wasn't. Nobody,
Yeah.
and even recently, like years ago, like I would have just thought of Aquaman and thought, "Pah." It was sort of a bit like Ant-Man as well in the MCU. Like whenever you hear about Ant-Man, you're like, what? And then
Sounds so stupid,
sounds silly, but
but
not,
they pull it off.
it's-
They pull it off
yeah,
really well. Yeah.
yeah. Um,
And what other films? Obviously, we touched on Wonder Woman. One of my least favorite films ever made is Suicide Squad. I hate that film.
oh,
I feel like David Ayer got done dirty. Jared Leto got done dirty. Like it was edited by they hired a music video editing company to edit that film. Like
you can see that
it's
in the film.
disgusting. It's a disgrace.
There are so many moments where they just like, it is sort of like that. There's just the music, like they play a new song, like, oh, let's play a Queen song, and then it's just like cuts of them just like walking and like doing things, and Harley
I hate
Quinn
that
just being
film.
Harley Quinn. That was one of to be fair, I remember going to see that. I went to see that in Belfast, and I remember going with my cousin, and I remember it was one of those films where I thought in my head I could easily just walk out now.
Yeah, it's give me
I
a
could
headache
walk
just
out of
thinking
the
about
cinema.
it. Yeah,
I just felt really bored.
and I'm so
Like,
excited for the sort of
oh,
soft reboot James Gunn.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's sort of like he puts the in front of it, and he's like the Suicide Squad. And he's like,
yeah.
this is what I would have done. Like, this is
This is how you
trust me,
make it.
guys.
This is how you make a
Yeah,
film.
yeah.
How awesome is it that he's doing Marvel and DC? Very cool.
Yeah. Just speaking of James Gunn, how funny is it that he wrote Scooby Doo 2 Monsters Unleashed? I was just watching I just came into my head and I had to say it. I was just watching Everything Wrong With. Shout out to them, I love those. I was watching that Everything Wrong With video, and it was like talking about how James Gunn had written
I
Scooby Doo 2.
I actually think the scripts for those movies are pretty funny. I mean, they're stuck in like 2000 sense of humor, and James Gunn obviously there was the whole controversy with his old sense of humor. You can definitely see there's like some controversial jokes in there,
Yeah,
and it's quite funny that that's in a Scooby Doo movie.
yeah.
But I actually find it quite hilarious, actually.
I mean, it's just fun to look back at it now, and to be fair, like I can't believe we've just gone straight into Scooby Doo movies in the middle of our DCEU talk.
Yeah,
My bad,
we'll
my
wrap
bad.
it up quickly. But it's
yeah,
funny.
yeah,
It's funny.
yeah. I could go back and watch those and laugh at them the whole way through because they're just
It's
and
the
it's the
first.
nostalgia as well.
It's
Um,
like how the love interest of Shaggy is called Mary Jane. Like,
Yeah, that
it's-
links to
It's hilarious.
And the first time you see Shaggy and Scooby, like you just see the mystery machine and there's like smoke coming out of it and all. It's like they're like
like they're hotboxing.
It's like they're hotboxing the mystery machine. Yeah. But anyway, sorry, there was a link because there was a James Gunn link, so it's a stretch.
Yeah.
So
anyway,
back to
the Suicide Squad. Looking forward to that. What else? Is there Flashpoint? Who knows if that's even going to come out?
That's another thing. We haven't discussed Ezra Miller. Have you heard about that?
How he like punched? Didn't he punch a fan or something?
Yeah, there's a video of it. I've watched the video. He gets drunk in Iceland because apparently they were about to start shooting Fantastic Beasts 3. Yeah. And he was in Iceland, so his whole isolation period, like he's been in Iceland in quarantine, in lockdown, and he's in a bar and he like got drunk at a bar, and like this fan comes up to him and he's like, "You want to fight with me?" in the video and all, and he's like floors the person to the ground.
Yeah,
like he tries to punch him and like.
The thing is with a video, like this isn't excusing what he did, but obviously. We weren't there. We don't know the full context. There might be. I mean, there can't be a logical explanation for wanting to do that to someone, but maybe there is something that would help us understand why it happened. But
I mean,
I'm surprised he's not been sacked from Warner Brothers. I don't know.
That's the thing too. We don't know. You're right. We don't know whether that video was staged. Like, or whether, like, we don't know if it was a friend that was, like, kind of joking around. Like, I mean, to be fair, like...
I mean, it's a
bit weird pushing your friends to the bar.
It seems pretty obvious what happened, but like we said, we weren't there, we can't make a full judgment on it. But from that being an image of one of your stars, I'm just surprised that he's not been sacked. Like,
I know,
It's like the How to Train Your Dragon. They recast T.J. Miller because he got in a fight on a tube or something. He was drunk on a tube making a fight. You just don't want that associated with your film.
There's a lot of T.J. Miller there. I think he made like bomb threats to people and things. Like it was quite serious. With Ezra Miller, so he's an integral part of Fantastic Beasts as well.
Yeah, but they can just recast him. Like, it's not the end of the world.
Also feels a bit like Warner Brothers might have been kind of like, well, it's in the middle of lockdown. Let's try and brush it onto the carpet. Like, let's.
Yeah, maybe.
There was no reply. I don't think from either of them, from Ezra Miller or Warner Brothers.
I'm not liking what I'm hearing about Ezra Miller and how he's like trying to take control of the Flash movie and things like that. I just think you're an actor, mate.
Yeah,
like, you're not hired as a producer. You know, you mean you obviously he's clearly allowed to pitch things and do that, but like I don't understand why Warner Brothers are putting up with that. But this is all what I've heard from news stories, so you can't,
Yeah, it's just finishing on Ezra Miller. It just kind of feels like it does make me feel a bit like disappointed and sad because, like, first time I was sort of exposed to Ezra Miller was The Perks of Being a Wallflower, and that's one of my favorite films.
That is a great film.
So it's just it makes me feel quite disappointed, but hopefully it's not like it's
it's nothing like extremely career-ending and serious. Like he can come back from this and he can redeem himself.
Yeah,
you always got to give him a chance. Or give people a chance.
People make mistakes. Yeah.
So we'll see what happens with that. But I'm still surprised he hasn't been sacked from the film. Like, you just don't want that image. But I guess because the film's so far away, maybe everyone will forget about it. Has he made an apology? I don't even know that.
I don't think so.
Really. Is there any other DCEU films worth mentioning?
I think we're. I did quite like Wonder Woman, and I mean, I think we briefly talked about it before, but like the third act.
The third act is a bit disappointing. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, all that stuff with like David Thewlis's character becoming like that thing that she was worried about the whole time. It was kind of like, oh really? Like, Okay, this is quite lame. But no, the first part of it, I really like Chris Pine as well. Like he plays that kind of nice kind of person that's introducing her to all these different things, and it's quite some quite sweet scenes that like he's describing things to her and she doesn't really have a clue. Like there's that funny scene in the cave where like talking about his watch and all, and she's like staring at him because he's getting out of the bath and all. It's like quite funny. Also, and like supporting cast. And her name is Robin Wright was really really good.
Yes,
that's another thing as well. She was rumored, didn't she? She could be in the Snyder Cut because she was supposed to have filmed scenes for Justice League. Like she did film scenes for Justice League.
Right. Okay.
So, and she wasn't in like this theatrical, was she?
No. All right. Quickly mention Birds of Prey. That was all right. Didn't really need to be rated R.
It's just an opportunity there.
And then future films, I'll quickly list out what's to come. We have Wonder Woman 1984, The Suicide Squad. We've got Black Adam, The Flash, maybe Shazam 2, apparently, and Aquaman 2. So, yeah. And then aside from that, we've got The Batman, which is separate to the DCEU. So, or at least we think it is. Yeah. It would be quite cool if it was like a prequel to Ben Affleck's Batman.
Yeah.
Like, I think that would be quite cool. But they don't need to tie it in, really, do they?
No.
So yeah, that's the DCEU. Any final thoughts?
Also, yeah, final thoughts. I know it's sort of DCEU, but it's kind of standalone. Joker,
yeah. It's standalone, but can't not mention it.
Yeah, I couldn't like not mention it. Yeah. Phenomenal film.
Oh yeah, that like transcends the comic book genre.
Yeah.
So.
And it's really hard hitting.
And I remember
it
brutal. Yeah.
And it was just it was such a like big film at the time, and it kind of broke out more than anyone I think even expected. Like, who would have thought that like Joker would make the same amount of money as like the last film in the Skywalker saga, like The Rise of Skywalker. Like an R-rated film about Joker would make around the same as The Rise of Skywalker.
It just shows you how popular.
What?
It just shows you how well. Obviously, they need to make a great film to begin with, but it just shows you how popular the character is, Joker. Like, and that is testament to years of great comics, and especially Heath Ledger's performance. I think just elevated the character into like the stratosphere.
Yeah.
So it's not unexpected, really.
He really is one of the most recognizable villains now, like in the world. Like he's, and that kind of different origin story and the focus on like his mental health was so important, and the way that society like can often treat people.
Are they doing a second one?
I think that Joaquin has made hints that he would be up for it, which is very rare and very.
Do you know what I'd like to see? Do you know what I'd like to see? No, you're right. Sorry, it is rare that Joaquin he gets into it like that. Yeah. You're right. But I was just gonna say that I'd love to see him kind of become more of like a criminal mastermind. I know that that's like the classic Joker thing, but to see it done with that style would be cool.
Yeah, I suppose like, and you're like that's quite good thought actually, because like to see his rise as like the feared clown, like that he sort of is in The Dark Knight, and that's sort of like the way he kind of rises up to become like the mastermind behind this group, like, and he really rallies people.
You're right, and what Joker does so well, it just shows you how someone could become the Joker.
Yeah,
like in our society, very well done.
A very memorable film that like will be like culturally significant. I feel like it'll become a kind of a classic that we will look back on in years to come and think that was like a really important film to come out at that time. And going to see it as well. Like the cinema was packed. Like I haven't seen it that packed in like a long time for films.
Did you go? Were you in Northern Ireland when you went?
Yeah, it was in Northern Ireland, Noma, and it was like I have to say it was like 3 weeks after it came out, and it was like a Saturday evening, and there was not a single seat left. It was sold out. Like that's how much of like a impact this film had. Like it was huge at the time. And the people who never, whenever a film is quite big, whenever people who don't really talk about films or go to the cinema much are like, oh, have you been to see Joker and all? I'm going to see it. Like, and they're like, that's when you know that like a film is like really reached heights and it's like people are just talking about it. Like everyone's talking about it. No.
I wonder what the next one will be. Tenet, maybe. Hopefully.
Yeah. Haven't watched the new trailer, by the way. Just.
I might do a reaction to the trailer and put it on the channel. Maybe. Thinking about it.
Yeah.